If everyone could take their seats, please. John, can I trouble you to close the door, please? Thank you. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the CUSD 201 Board of Education, today, September 10th, 2013. Roll call, please, Mrs. McMahon.
Mr. Armstrong.
Here.
Ms. Caparelli.
Here.
Mrs. Charlton.
Here.
Mrs. Hancock.
Here.
Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Mrs. Notbush.
Here.
Mr. Price.
Here.
If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is public comment. Are there any public comments? Okay. Consent agenda. Any concerns? Then the chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Number 1, personnel recommendations. Number 2, appointment of hearing officer. 3, appointment of non-discrimination officers, complaint managers. And 4, approval of student tour requests.
So moved.
Seconded?
Roll call, please, Ms. McMahon.
Mr. Price.
Yes.
Mrs. Notbush.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Mrs. Hancock.
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton.
Yes.
Ms. Caparelli.
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong.
Yes.
Okay, then we'll go right to the superintendent's report.
First, the first couple items are related to what the board wants to see on our updates on a regular basis, and so just to kind of get this started, and then this will be a gentle reminder for me with subsequent board meetings. But with the EBERT process, again, our finance committee, we're meeting next Tuesdays at September 17th at 6:30 p.m. at South in the conference room. And from that meeting, then we have a list of areas that we want to examine and develop our long-range planning for those areas. And then once we have that prioritization, then Kim and I will be able to put together a timeline and, individuals responsible for, and then we'll be able to bring that to the board so that we'll have a definitive plan. We definitely want, February is typically when we start to develop the budget for next year. And so those higher priority items are the ones that we're going to tackle first and bring to the board for your review, and then that'll start our budget process. So we'll get that up and running. Website, we are in the process. We know our website's not user-friendly, and so we are in the process of updating our website to make it a more user-friendly site. And the district administrators, we're meeting next Tuesday to kind of take a look at the general framework that we want for, and at least for the district page, what we think is important to have on there. And then the buildings will also develop a timeline for when they have to make decisions about what will appear on their pages, and then also include some input from families and community members. And our goal is that by the end of November, we'll have our new website up and running. It'll be beautiful and very easy to find information regarding the district, because we know right now it can be a challenge. So that's our goal there.
Just one quick question there.
Sure.
Obviously, we're including everybody. Just want to make sure, so we'll also be reaching out to the PTOs and the boosters
Right.
and all them, and be able to get all the information. Okay.
Right, that's one of the questions we're going to answer with input from the PTOs. If they want a link, on the building page, if they, how they want that to look, but definitely they'll be included in that process.
They also might be a source of what the community wants too, because they talk to a lot more people outside.
Sure.
The regular circle of that we talk to. So.
Sure.
So this will be our Christmas present to the district.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes.
Thanks, Kevin. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. And then Skyward, which interesting enough, Marie at a PTO meeting last night brought additional information to my attention. But one of our goals, again, is Skyward. Some will describe it as the Cadillac of student management software. And so it really has a lot of tools, modules that are beneficial that we as a district are not using to its fullest degree, and again, not providing that valuable communication to parents, in terms of their child and their children's progress. And so we met as an administrative team to talk about some parameters and some protocols, but it's also looks like it extends beyond that, because one of the issues that we've had is with new families. New families right now haven't received their information on how to log into Skyward. And it doesn't mean that they're not in the system, that their children are not in the system, but right now, and it's happening with new families, and because several kindergarten families are new families, we're seeing it with several of those families. And in the past, it's kind of interesting in talking to Nancy Battaglia was following up on it a little bit. Before we went to all-day kindergarten, the kindergarten piece wasn't as important, but now they are taking lunch, so that becomes important. And then as we went to online payment as well, that's another reason why how we decide to, how we prioritize, how we address the needs of Skyward needs to change now. And so we are developing those protocols as well, so that, going forward, parents will have that information at the beginning of the year. Not only for our families who have been in the district, but also new families as well. But we are putting together those protocols so that there's consistency in how we use it, and then so that parents, when there's a certain level of confidence, number one, that they'll be able to find the information that they need easily, and that it will also be accurate for parents as well. So we're working on that piece.
Kevin, when you mentioned the add-on modules, are those pieces we already own, or are those things we would have to purchase?
No, we already have the modules. I'll give you an example. Response to intervention is one that, when we purchased Skyward, that came with it, but we're not using it till it's the fullest extent, which again, when you're talking about monitoring student progress, we have to use every tool we have. So it's no additional expense to the district. It may be on our part doing some staff development with our teachers, which again is not an additional cost for us. And then again, making sure that everybody's following the same protocols when working with it. So
It is it's a great program, and as someone, we've used it for a number of years. It is fantastic to be able to see how your student's doing, on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
So it'll be great to see how the administrators come up with that plan to have have it used consistently, because then you can rely on it as a tool. So looking forward to that.
Oh, a few really quick things on. First of all, I've been really happy with the way Skyward has been evolving over the years. Like you mentioned, the online payment I think is huge. I think that was a fantastic addition to it when we got that. This year, I want to say so far, my son is a junior right now, and in general, I've had good experiences with the teachers getting stuff into there, but this year, they've been fantastic. A lot of teachers have grades in before the end of the day, and it's been really nice. There are two things I kind of want to mention. The one is that, and I spoke with Mrs. Battaglia about it briefly, and it's possible I just missed it. But one thing I noticed is that grades, at least at the high school level, for semester courses are being recorded as quarter 2. So by default, the parents, when you log in, you don't see them. It looks like nothing's in there unless there's a grade like driver's ed, or there's a quarter-long course. So they show as quarter 2. So if you switch the view, you can see it. And she mentioned she thought something may have gone out, but just kind of, I think it's an important point, because people logging in won't see the grades and they might think it's not being entered when it is. And then the other one that I think, just in modules and prioritization, something I think would be really great would be a more of a mobile device interaction, if there is one, because it uses the pop-up window type functionality. It isn't friendly to most mobile devices, but as a parent, I'd love to be able to. My son's asking if he can go do something. I'd love to call it up my phone and say, yay or nay.
Have you checked for the app?
I looked, and first of all, I'll say I have a Windows phone, so I have a lot of limited functionality in terms of apps right there. So maybe there is an app out for the other devices.
I'll follow up on it and see.
That's a good idea.
That's bringing us back to the website a little bit. Our current website is not user-friendly on mobile devices. The new one will be.
Great,
So
great.
much user-friendly. But we can look on that, look at that. And then also, and that's, you brought up a good point. That's one of the things, one of those, again, those protocols, procedures. If, one of the buildings, for whatever reason, maybe a very good reason, they're going to change, for instance, semester courses, okay? We're now going to look at, the entire semester versus a quarter. Well, that information has to get out to parents so that parents know that when you view your child's grades, make sure you look at the second quarter view to see the cumulative progress. So we'll get that word out.
One more thing, just, it does help, because as you have elementary school children, you tend to know more about what their day-to-day thing is. But when they get into the junior high and high school, they're maybe not so chatty with you about how their day was. And so the Skyward piece is fantastic, because you can say kudos to you for getting an A on that test.
Right.
Or, the other thing. But it does help to see, his homework getting in and things like that. So
Right.
it is a great tool, and I know a lot of parents are using it. So looking
I
forward to
think
that.
along with the website, you kind of mentioned procedures or protocols. I know that some of the places people have had frustration are around things not being current and updated. So you can go and look up sports information at the junior or senior high, and you're getting the data from 3 years ago.
Right,
Or you
right,
go to
right.
the school calendar, and the most current times or places for activities may not be updated. You go to the supply list, and they may be from 3 or 4 years ago. So I think as you're working toward the redesign of it, it would be definitely in all of our best interest to include some protocols in there for how quickly those tools get updated. Because once we can really find them really easily, then we're really going to be frustrated if they're not right.
Yes.
So the easier you make it to use, the more people are going to use it, the more there's going to be an expectation. And I think we don't want to, fall down on that piece of it.
Right, exactly.
Can I ask one question before we get off that subject? I know that there's more communication going on, which is fantastic. But I know that there's been people that have asked me, like, what's the difference between the blog and the parent link? And I do know that some people, when the parent link came out, they were asking, like, well, I already signed up for the blog. So can we, when we do this website, will that be part of it? Will there be some, because it seems like there's a number of communication things, and just making sure that if there's this really, any of the information we want to get out there, that we streamline it. Is that?
Right. Well, yeah, that's the goal. And actually,
Okay.
the blog function will be different with the new website. And again, the onus is going to be on the district to communicate to parents, the changes. Parent link is separate from our website. That's just a way for us to do mass communication, emails or phone calls. So we'll still be using that. And as long as we have, when parents register, as long as they're including their email address, then they're automatically put into parent link. They don't have to sign up for anything.
Okay.
And then again, the blogging function will be transitioning, and then we'll communicate to parents how that will be different.
Okay. Would it be possible to at least send out some brief thing to our families telling them that we are doing this website? Because I know, like, Mr. Jonak put out an email telling parents, because the website is changing, it's sending out things in a different way, or if you're looking for a sports event or something, and then you get tripped up with that. So just to let people know that it's coming, and that might be a good
Sure.
piece.
Sure. And then the next item I have is Rachel's challenge. And what I just need from the board tonight is just consensus for us to move forward. But as you're aware, we've had a climate committee working for a couple of years, and their work has been focusing on our buildings and our school climate within our buildings. And last year, we had our first Bullying Awareness Week, which we will again have that again in November. But then throughout the summer as well, they have been reviewing different character education programs that can be utilized in schools. And the one that was reviewed and came with very strong recommendations from districts that have implemented it is Rachel's Challenge. And the process again, and again, we recognize the fact that we have good buildings. We're working with great students and great families. But at the same time, it's like anything else we do in a district, we can always get better, and we can always improve. And so we're looking at Rachel's Challenge as that opportunity for us to become better and to provide better learning environments for our students. And included in your board book, the implementation plan would be November 5th, we have a Institute Day. And so we would actually have somebody from Rachel's Challenge working with our staff and providing the framework, and then working with those individuals that will be leaders within our buildings. And then November 18th and 19th, which coincides with our Bowling Awareness Week, we would actually have assemblies that are age appropriate. So we'll do assemblies at the elementary level, junior high and high school, and that will be more or less kick it off at the buildings, and then from there, they'll provide us with the curriculum, and we'll continue to work with that initiative throughout the year. And the cost, which I've included for you, is approximately $10,000. I'm pulling it up right now.
10,304, is that what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Right, it's 10,304, and there's no additional teaching FTE. The orientation is a $3,500 cost, and then the elementary assemblies are $2,900, and then the high school assemblies and training is $4,800, and that also includes all the resources that we'll need as well. And so it ends up will cost us approximately $10,304 to implement. And John, is there anything else that? Yeah.
Good evening. There's also a community event that is part of the program as well that we would be purchasing, and that is where my current district, my home district is Batavia. They're going to be in the next week conducting Rachel's Challenge with that school district, and so I'll be taking a look at it and hopefully attending the evening community event. So that's part of it as well, and that's bringing the entire community out. My hopes are that I can learn what I can from Batavia and then bring those things, and so we're making sure that we're getting that out to the community members, parents, friends, and such.
But at this juncture, we have a tentative date. All the deadlines are tentative, and they reserved them for 30 days. And then once the board gives us consensus, then John can contact them and finalize everything, and then they will send us an agreement that the board would approve, and then we'll be set. So as long as we have consensus to move forward, then we'll lock it in, and then we'll be ready to go.
I'm thrilled. I'm very excited.
I say yes, let's go.
I do as well. Seems like a great program. Definite yes.
I love, like this one line here, compassionate, nurturing environment, positive teaching and learning. That's just fantastic. I think the Climate Committee should be applauded for the work it's done, and all the administrators too. This just sounds great.
It's been a kind of a long haul for our Climate Committee, and we have had some parents who have been on this committee for 4 years now, and they are to be commended for participating with the enthusiasm for that length of time, and I'm sure they will continue to participate into the future as well. And of course, we always look for more parent participation on our Climate Committee. So. I hope this will help bring attention to some of the function of the Climate Committee, and I have no doubt this will be a fantastic experience for our students and staff and community. So look forward to it.
I like the positive aspect instead of just talking about not bullying. It's the positive. It's great.
Sure. And then a couple items under communication. One is, we're aware that we've had some issues with our transportation. We apologize for those. Kim has been working diligently with Westway. Some of the issues are due to they've experienced a shortage of drivers, and so even some of the people who normally are in the office in a supervisory role who could feel those calls and those questions about how come we're missing routes and stops. Those people are actually involved in the transportation of students, and so I believe most of those issues have been?
As far as I know, I haven't heard anything the last few days, so I think we have everything under control. We might want to let people know, though, that we will experience maybe some delays. Somewhere at the end of this month or beginning of October, we're not quite sure, because they're going to be closing the railroad crossing at Cass Avenue. So we have the bus company already working on rerouting and things, so they'll probably go up Prospect. Prospect was closed, now Cass will close. So we are working on that, and we will get communications out to parents, but parents should expect during that week or 2-week closing that there will be some hiccups in
I'm sorry,
bus
when is that
transportation.
happening?
We don't know yet, so it's tentative, somewhere at the end of this month, beginning of next month, but the village will let us know as soon as they do, but we're already have already last week started planning for that, and we'll get communications out to parents and know that, your times may, we may be experiencing some delays because of that. So we'll make sure we communicate frequently with parents about that.
I might suggest to ask the bus company, maybe some of the junior high or high school routes could just take 83. Okay, I mean, instead of trying to cross at Prospect where everybody else is going to be crossing,
Right.
might as well.
Yep.
Okay, it's just a suggestion anyways.
Or Fairview.
Yeah, there were, I think, some issues down that way
Fairview.
before, too, so.
Well, that'll be fun.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
And then with regards to bring your own device, we're hoping to get started at the beginning of the year at the high school, and then piloting at the 8th grade. But as I indicated in the board report, AT&T, we ordered the equipment in a timely fashion. They, though, did not deliver it in a timely fashion, and we need to increase our bandwidth so that as students are using our wireless, we didn't want everything else to kind of shut down on us. So we want to make sure that we can handle the additional traffic, and there was a misunderstanding on AT&T's part that we've been able to clarify, and so I believe the equipment's in district now, and so hopefully we'll get that installed. And
Well, I don't remember how long ago, but when we were talking about the pilots for Bring Your Own Device, it was brought up that it might be good to put out a list of some devices that have worked well. I know the high school's already done a year of a pilot. And I'm mentioning it again because, every year
Right.
entering 6th graders or entering 9th graders, parents are, breaking down and buying cell phones and buying, things that these kids didn't maybe have before. So I think it would just be helpful, even on the district website somewhere, to just say, here are some ones that have worked well. Not required, but just, we know from a year's worth of piloting that these devices have worked well in this environment.
Sure. And then the other thing I have is that we're working with Westmont Police Department as a result of what happened out east last spring with the school shooting. We've been working closely with Westmont Police Department in terms of looking at our own processes and procedures when it comes to having an intruder in the building. And so we are, similar to the training that the board received, we are receiving some training presentation from Westmont Police Department for our staff tomorrow. And in order for everyone, secretaries, custodians, everyone to hear that message and to know how we need to change our procedures, we're going to have everybody, we have a SIP day tomorrow afternoon, so we're going to have everybody meet at the high school and receive that information from the Westmont Police Department. It'll create a slight inconvenience because we're basically going to have to shut our buildings down for a couple hours. Nobody's going to be able to answer the door or answer phones because they'll all be at the high school. But by 2:30, everybody will be back at the buildings. And then we'll also have some parent meetings coming up as well. And then some training, age appropriate, of course. The response is a little bit different at the upper grades than at the lower grades. And then we'll also do some training this fall with how we work with our lockdowns and building evacuations.
So I think I saw on the blogs today that the Manning blog that came out was a very good, message about what's going to go on tomorrow, but I kind of looked and I don't remember seeing it for the other buildings.
Yeah, I'll
So
check
that,
in.
yeah, that part of our community got a nice message, and I think it would be nice to make
Sure.
sure that the other
Right.
the other schools get that same, or something similar.
Sure. And then just one other quick thing, and unless any board member has an objection, the high school is already looking down the road at graduation dates. And typically, they look at the Thursday, that last week of May. And the problem that they're running into is that also is going to end up being probably the state series for several athletic teams. And we usually anticipate some of our track athletes being involved in those things. And rather than putting a family in a position where they have to choose between those events, if the high school were to move it a little bit earlier into the week, like that Tuesday, they would be able to, then students would be able to attend both. So unless there's any strong objections, I'll let the high school know that they can.
I don't have any objection, but what about moving it one day later, Friday?
It's that whole weekend, so it's still.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's scheduled for Wednesday, according to the calendar.
Right.
The 28th, so they're
would
not
move
just
up.
the Thursday.
Right, it
Okay.
would move to, I'm sorry, yeah, the Wednesday, but
The
that's the
Wednesday.
travel day.
That's the, okay.
And then
okay.
Tuesday would be,
So we have a board meeting that night, so we could just, the
yeah.
27th,
Right,
so we could just change that.
right, we could change that if,
I have no problem with that.
I don't either.
At all.
okay, all
Fine.
right. So I'll let the high school know.
Fine.
All right, and I think that's it.
I had a different topic about communication, Kevin. I'm glad to hear that we're going to be updating the website. Is that going to include improving our email system? I am constantly, every day practically, reached out by somebody who says, Gary, I don't know what's going on. I sent email after email. Now, recently over the weekend, I had somebody who sent in a very nice email to all of us, okay? And I didn't get it. It wasn't until she resent it again that we actually got it. And this, it clearly is not a new problem. So I don't know what the issue is or what the fix is or what,
Right.
but I mean, we have to, new parents, seasoned, veteran parents, they get very frustrated when they send an email in and they don't hear back from anything. And then, you find out that the email never made it to the person. It is even more frustrating, okay? And then, of course, the phone call comes in and, the teacher or the administrator is now even more upset because this parent's very upset because nobody's responded to them. So I don't know how to fix it. I'm a door and window guy. I'm not an IT guy, but
Sure.
Something has to be addressed in our email system to fix that up, to correct it. Sure. So,
Sure. We'll take a look at that. I know because Joe sent an email, and then I received that same email from that parent and sent it twice. And so I mentioned to Nancy Battaglia, and she asked me what the extension was, and it was sbcglobal.net. And Nancy said she'll look at it and see if there's anything we can do with our email server. But she said she knows that in the past, that's been more of an issue on AT&T's end than it has been on ours. But she's going to definitely look at it and see what's creating this issue for us.
no offense to anybody, I've heard of that before, because parents complained to me about this a year and a half, 2 years ago. So a parent changed her email to Hotmail, and it still didn't get through.
Okay.
So we need to, I don't know, hit the reset button, do something, but we have to.
Right.
Have to get that to be functioning better than it is right now.
Yeah, it's been Comcast in the past as well, so
Right.
I know that it's sort of been an ongoing issue. It has to have something to do with the blacklist, whitelist, what's allowed in.
Actually, I'm not saying it's not that, and I wasn't aware of it being a problem until I saw that letter. However, coincidentally, on Saturday, my wife sent a letter to a number of people in the district and copied myself at a non-district email address. And I received it, and she was actually doing a reply to all, so it was to a message that she didn't type in addresses or anything like that. And we heard indication from the people within the district that they didn't receive it.
Okay.
And it's from an AOL account.
All right.
So yet another
AOL.
provider.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess it is a little bit bigger,
Yeah.
bigger issue than.
Just want to make sure we're all aware of it, that's all.
Sure, sure.
Well, and I sent one on district to somebody, and it didn't get there. So it's, and I have to agree with Carrie, it's just frustrating because you don't know, did somebody get it and they're not responding to me, or, I think your first thought isn't that it didn't get there.
Right.
It's that somebody didn't respond. And then, like you say, then now you've got somebody who's upset about something.
Yeah, and I think it's a problem when you're, sending an email to a teacher about your student, you're asking a question or something, and you don't get a response back, and maybe it was something that was kind of time-based.
Sure.
And she's like, oh, well, and then you just kind of forget it and move on, and then you're going to be less inclined to do that in the future if you don't get a response, and if we're having that kind of a problem. The parents' perception is that, because they're not getting a bounce back. Or some people do, I think, but some people don't get a bounce back that says it didn't go to the address, And so they're going to be less inclined to communicate and that with their students' teachers. And that's going to really be a hindrance to progress, I guess. So.
And I would say, though, too, just to remind people that if you change your address, your email address, you have to let the district know.
Right, that's not.
Because I know that in business, you do that. You send something to somebody, and then, oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you. So. Okay, are there any board reports?
I just wanted to quickly mention that there's a new organization in Westmont called Westmont First. It is a volunteer-based program. Any businesses can sign up, any organization can sign up, any person can sign up. So if you're looking to volunteer, or if you need volunteers, or if you're a business and you want to put your name out there so that people know what services you have to offer, as long as you're a Westmont business, please just go to westmontfirst.com, sign up, and hopefully it'll draw more business for you or volunteers for you. So that's it.
Well, I have two things. I just wanted to remark about the Westmont High School open house the other night. And I know that Jack Balderman will be coming to the board meeting to talk about the fantastic things that he was talking about. But I have to say, in all the years being in Westmont, I have never seen a better turnout and more enthusiasm. There was applause at that meeting. Some of the things that Jack was talking about, the rigors of the curriculum, were just so well received. Walking around that night talking to the teachers, I've never seen a more energized group of people, which then translates to the students. It was just fantastic, fantastic. And so I have to thank everybody involved in that to see this happening. And on that note, just mark your calendar, October 3rd is the high school homecoming, so that should be a great event. And then one more thing, talking about positive vibes, I was at the Manning PTO meeting last night just to give a board update, and there's a lot of talk and even at the elementary level about the great things that are happening at the junior high and the high school and that. And I think that resonated so that last night they voted, the Manning PTO, to fund a smart board for the new kindergarten class. And so that was a fantastic thing. And they talked about the literacy program. And I don't think I'm spilling any beans here, it was an open meeting. But there was talk about the comprehensive literacy program. And so it was voted last night that the Manning PTO would supplement with a number of the hands-on things that the teachers need for that. And so that was it was great. It's good to see people are acknowledging what the district's doing, and then people are stepping up and putting their money to helping these kind of things. So it just felt like, I just have to say that. Thank you to everyone who's involved in that. So it's good. It was a good day.
Also, a brief comment on the open house, which I agree was a really, really well-done event. And I agree there was a lot of enthusiasm, positive attitudes there. One of the things I think would be a good idea moving forward, and I meant to mention this to Jack, and I just forgot. I meant to mention it every year for the last 3 years, and I keep forgetting. But I think it would be useful, especially for freshman parents, because my third time being to the open house, I've finally gotten the hang of the rooms and stuff. But while the school isn't huge, the room numbering can be a little confusing to parents. I think, when you get the schedule, I think having like a map with the room numbers would be really helpful to parents of newer students. Because I see a lot of them wandering around and trying to get to the next class on time and coming in late, so.
Okay, anything else on board reports?
Marie, I'll just add, from the SACID meeting, one of the new initiatives that they're working on at SACID is they have a partnership with a internet-based professional development company, and so they're working to integrate internet-based development you know, for some of the routine stuff, the mandatory trainings that you have to go through every year in the public schools, but also for educational programming. And then they're hoping to develop some of their own modules and have it more custom and tailored for the needs of the SACID member districts. And then they're hoping that they'll be able to share this resource with the member districts as well, so it might provide some unique opportunities in professional development that we don't currently have.
Okay, anything else?
There's an app for that. So Skyward has an app.
Excellent.
Yay. Thank you.
Okay, are there any public comments? No? Okay, then, before we go to close, I thought I'd just reiterate, tomorrow's a SIP day, so that's an earlier close day. It's not the PLC day, so I know the elementary's 11:30. I know junior high is 11:52, 52, not 53, and then the high school is somewhere around, anyway, before lunch, so your children will be coming home earlier. Finance Committee meeting, September 17th. September 18th or 19th, junior high open house? 19th, junior high open house. Next school board meeting, the 24th. Yeah. Any other upcoming, there's a lot going on at the beginning of the year. Okay. Then the chair will entertain a motion to enter closed session for the purpose of discussing collective bargaining and personnel issues and to review closed session minutes.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Ms. Caparelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton?
Yes.
Mrs. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Notbush?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
And we will probably have a vote after closed session. Back from closed session. After reviewing closed session minutes dated March 19, 2013 through August 13, 2013, the chair will entertain a motion to keep all of the closed session minutes closed.
So moved.
Second.
And roll call, please.
Ms. Caparelli, yes. Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Hancock?
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton?
Yes.
Mrs. Notbush?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Okay.
That was close.
Not nice.
Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.